Alright, it is time for day 9 of War Machine Gaige. So we've hit OP10. I've gone ahead and collected a couple of high quality items for us to go ahead and mess with. We're going to try to make a build around the Anarchist for grenades. We're going to make a normal Anarchy build with the Terrace combo pack, weirdly enough. We're going to go for a catch-all slash lifesteal heavy catalyst dot build. We're going to go for Death Trap and our own melee with the Robo Tier. And then we'll just go for that Everlasting Shock build on the Stormbringer. Now, before we get to testing out and playing too hard, we've got ourselves some more patch notes today. So the Grog's dot damage has been rebalanced. Apparently it is just to kind of help it with its early game scaling and stuff. We've got a Hawkeye damage rebalance, which I did not actually put a Hawkeye on this character. I might have to do that to see what it's looking like. They've changed the ancient prefix on weapons to make them the proper coloration, probably? Or at least make them a little more identifiable. I assume that probably Seraph weapons, I'd kind of totally just use Gib to make this. Might not be made to properly work with that quite yet. We've got a rename for all Shroud mag size AR accessories to change it to Buckshot, because apparently that's what it does. It makes it into a shotgun style of thing. They have adjusted sliding again by a good amount, because the slide is a little bit awkward still. We don't really need to cover it too much. Just general fixes and changes to make it a little more enjoyable. Gaige, apparently there was a secret setting that was removed that I wasn't aware of. They've reworked Blood-Soaked Shields again. They've reduced the skill point requirements for Red Tree once you reach Blood-Soaked Shields, so that you don't have to full spec the entire tree, basically. And they've increased Hatterax's health, which is funny, because, yeah, he probably needs that. Reduced grenade damage scaling by 20%, because they are a bit strong in progression, and rebalanced the electric chair slash anti-infection. So, let me go ahead and respec now that we have this new patch so that I can see what we're looking like for getting down the tree. I pretty much had to full spec a lot of these skills to really get down where I wanted to get with this build. So it'll be kind of nice to not have to do that. So, what do you do? Dealing damage to enemies will overcharge your bullets, increasing your weapon damage by 1% per anarchy stack for a short amount of time. Additionally, your weapon auto-refills 1 bullet during activation, however you lose a portion of health and shield. When Death Trap is summoned, increases your max anarchy stacks by 30. Oh, man. Okay. So, that really sucks, because that means that I'm just going to annihilate my health bar, I'd have to imagine, but I'd also get a ton of anarchy stacks and stuff. So that's unfortunate, but that's really tempting. Also, let's see, how many skill points did I put in this tree? Right, so it looks like with the rebalance of the amount of skill points needed to get down tree, I didn't have to full spec these 2 skills, which means we saved, what, like 4 skill points? So that's pretty good. And it also means I can really respec this build out a little better to be more in interest of what I was trying to do with it. So let me do that real quick. Yeah, because now I just have more skill points that I can just put wherever I want. And that's kind of actually satisfying. We'll put them here, because that healing will be nice. And now we can get into our actual setup that we're going with for the current build. So we're running an Anarchist. We are running a Stockpile Relic. I'll explain that a little bit more here in a second. I'm running the Leech because, hold on, it still thinks it's electric. It'll fix itself. There we go, Fire Leech. We're running this because it is really, really strong. So that should feel pretty nice. We're running a Big Boom Blaster because it gives rocket launcher damage and the grenade stuff, and a lot more rocket and grenade stuff. And then the Anarchist actually has its description. I don't know why it didn't before, but it does now. At level 3 of Anarchy, which you automatically get with this comm, you now increase grenade child count by 0.45% per stack of anarchy, and additionally, for every unspent grenade you have, you will get an additional 15 anarchy stacks. So with this, with the stockpile relic for +4, with our maxed out pre-shrunk, with our maxed out Nova Blast Strike, we're a little over 600 stacks is what we can have, which that times 0.45 equates to almost like 3 times more child nades per nade thrown. And then if we pair that with a weapon that has a torque barrel, because of the mod's part changes, it will get an additional 30% child grenade count. I don't know if that's additive or multiplicative, but it does that, and it also gives +1 to the child count as well, just passively as a thing, which will equate to lots and lots of pellets. So let's go ahead and stack real quick, and then I'll throw a grenade. We'll just see what it looks like. The most effective way I have found to stack anarchy: put on our Stormbringer that gives us infinite dots, tag an enemy with a dot, and then swap off of it. Ta-da! They still have the dot. So, yep. I could just AFK here for 1,000 years. We can just speed up the time a little bit. Just kind of hang out. Okay. 660 stacks of anarchy. So 660 times 0.45% plus 30% plus 1 flat times 18 equals too many probably. Let me just throw 1. Yeah. That's a lot. We could sit here and count it if we really wanted to, and honestly that wouldn't be a bad idea because that would be a way more accurate estimate. But oh my goodness. So many pellets. Oh, that wasn't even holding the nukem or the world burn. So it could have been a little bit more as well on top of that. I'm gonna walk us into Bloodshot real quick. You might think, oh, let's try to use this with like an electric chair, an anti-infection, or like a fastball or something and multiply that. Unfortunately, it doesn't work with that. It only works with the times modifier on the stat cards as far as I can tell. So there is no multiplying fastballs or anything else like a Tesla or something like that. It's just for these child count grenades, unfortunately. But let's go ahead and throw a couple in here, just like 2. Looks like that little bit of nerf probably hit him a little bit. But it's okay, because we're doing fine. We'll summon DT. Shoot the world burn a little bit as well. Just overall play the game. Kind of just have this really fun, fiery build. We could also just run any other weapon that has a torque barrel and any other element of grenade here, and it would work pretty much the exact same. We do need to conserve our grenade ammo a little bit and be a little choosy, but considering the amount of pellets that we're throwing out, I don't think that's a real issue. We usually end up getting so many kills that it's not like ever anything we have to question. So, yeah. I'd say this works pretty well. And we can go ahead and try to take it up against a raid boss. I want to bully Pete really, really bad. I think it'd be really funny. But I think we should probably do something like Terra. Just a little bit. Keep it a little bit fair. The only thing that does kind of feel bad, yeah, is the fact that we do burn through our anarchy stacks if you spam nades for a second, because you're just playing forgetfully. And you don't, like, you know, reserve yourself a little bit. You just kind of have to be careful and just not spam nade super hard. Alright, Death Trap's being a little busy over there, so we're gonna go ahead and test this out. We've got a meteor shower on right now. Interesting. Let me throw that where we can actually see it. That's terrifying. We've of course got the bonus package. for when you just want to remove a general direction, I guess. That's fun. And then this one is an interesting one because it has a ×4 pellet count, but it's on initial throw. Yeah, that's still... Yeah, I thought so. I mean, we can throw it directly at a guy, see what happens. It does drain our life, but it's also slag, so it provides healing instead of, you know, actually consuming grenade ammo and stuff. It's weird. But let's get a volunteer. I mean, yeah, this is just kind of just a thing. You could, weirdly, just wear this on the character, though, because it is good for slagging and, you know, getting that health back and stuff. It does provide nade regen, even though it doesn't consume nades. And then you could run that with fancy mathematics for a little bit of weapon damage. Or you could just not do that and keep death trap damage instead for just keeping a magazine full, which we're going to get to here in a second. Alright. Have to try it. Do you deal damage? I'm not super surprised. Here, let's try the meteor shower. I mean, the health bar moved. I gotta give it that. Bonus package. Kinda doing the same thing. And then the rest of the grenades that I have on the character are kind of just for other builds or for other tests that we're gonna do. So nothing really is probably gonna do a whole lot in terms of moving that health bar. That's totally fine. It is what it is. We can just throw anti-infections and dump our anarchy stacks real quick. Yeah. Okay, I didn't figure that the nade build would be good for raiding, but I just had to test. Let's run a classic anarchy build next. I don't really have a great idea of what we're gonna do beyond just running standard anarchy stuff, realistically. Watching the reticle slowly get worse and worse on this thing. It's already fairly inaccurate, so it's not the worst thing to happen to it, but it is kind of funny. Okay, so it looks like we cap out at 475 anarchy stacks. I do have that point in blood soaked, so I'm a little bit terrified of how that's gonna go. I'm gonna put on that fire leech just for the extra healing, probably, because I feel like we're definitely gonna need it. And I guess from here, just time to go shoot dudes and stuff. Link trap for the distraction. Wanderlust for the deletion. Wanderlust is fairly strong in this mod, so this is probably just going to feel really, really good. I'm getting more anarchy stacks. Interesting. I don't know why it capped out at 475 in town. But sure. Oh, it's because I have Death Trap out. Duh. Okay, so yeah. This is just a really good mobber. Who would have guessed? Especially using something like a Wanderlust with a B shield on. Although I guess at the same time, wait, doesn't Blood-Soaked kind of drain shield too? It does. Oh, great. So there is no benefit to wearing this B, except for actually it gives flat damage. Never mind, there's benefit to wearing the B still. The B stays on. Here, let's put on not the Wanderlust for a second, just to see what the gameplay feels like. We have a Varrock. Interesting. It is kind of nice that whenever you get kills with this class mod, because of one of our kill skills, we do get ammo directly back into our mag. So we do have that nice little benefit there. It's kind of fun that you don't have to spec Discord with this mod, because the only way to lose anarchy stacks, I think legitimately, is just to save quit or to unspec. You don't lose them on early reload or anything, so anytime I've been doing a gun build in the past where I've had Discord triggered, or like on the build, completely out of reflex. You do not need to do it. time to kill Big Worm again. Amen, brother. Oh, I don't think this is gonna work. Although it looks sick. Could I just stand still and just light show around myself? I could. That might still work. I really want the Madhouse to work for this. I'm also noticing that it's still draining our health even with no enemies to hit. Could be a problem with Blood Soaked. Not sure. Okay. Looks like Anarchy plus Madhouse is not the move. Noted. I do have a Pimpernel. I'm also below health gate though. Actually, wait a minute. World Burn doesn't do self-damage. Yeah, okay. I'm never gonna hit that. I think yeah, I think I only have the shock one. Yeah, okay, so against raid bosses, it looks like our damage is actually fairly balanced, I want to say, for it being OP 10. So, kind of touche. It's not OP or broken or anything. It's just kind of it's just good. This is fair. This makes sense. I'm okay with this. Alright. For our next build, we're going to go with the Catalyst, which is going to be our catch-all elemental class mod. This thing with our slag, probably I'll just want to be a little bit of a leech. Just to stand around, apply a slag to stuff, apply slag to Death Trap. I've kind of got him built up to be pretty darn strong with the build too. I've got him on 1 point of Android expansion so that he does 150% more damage. And we'll see if he can just kind of run around and just smite dudes. I'll run a Hide of Terra for him so that he can get the extra damage from it. I'm still not sure if it'll be better than just running a purple shield, since the purples would give a percentile bonus to our melee damage. So I'm still kind of torn 50-50 on whether or not to run a purple instead of running the Hide of Terra. But for now, we're just going to go Bully Bloodshot again. See what goes on. I think this is our secret dot build, by the way. I'm noticing that if I shoot with the Stormbringer and then swap to the Catalyst, it'll actually buff the amount of damage that the Stormbringer dots deal by quite a bit. So, outside of just wanting the flat shock damage from the Stormbringer, this would be kind of a good way to apply shock and then swap off of it. I feel like Pete's gonna have a bad time in the near future. We'll see. Get in there. Okay, I may have just made a really strong DT build instead of actually aiding us. But at least we can never really die too easily. Hopefully. After we summon him, we could also swap to a Flame of the Firehawk, because it has the ability to emit a slag explosion as well. So that would be pretty darn good for us. Probably would want a way to keep the shield down though, which I can't really do too well on our current build. Or I could just get people to pop the shield just to get the Nova off, and then it'd just replenish immediately anyway. He's just doing work. I've made a DT build. This is actually just a DT build. Okay, what if we don't use slag? What if we use fire, like this kitten here? He comes in and just steals kills. You know what? That's totally fair. I think he's actually about to die, though. He's too powerful to die. He does not know what death is. That's my bad. Oh, I guess we've just kind of made an accidental pet build. It turns out just buffing DT with this build is actually really, really good. And then we just keep ourselves alive with our really high slag potential that we have. Alright, how's our potential? Go ahead and shoot Wanderlust at him. Maybe apply a fire dot if we're lucky. He will wipe it every time he goes underground though, unfortunately. That's actually pretty comparable to the Anarchist build. Okay. So we kind of just have good dot to, like, potential. And yeah, he's actually staying fire ticked while he's underground. Interesting. That's really cool. Well, either way, this looks perfectly serviceable to me. I'm okay with this damage. I'm kind of hoping we can squeeze out a little more DT damage from a actual pet build. But this is totally fine, for sure. This next build is brought to you by the color blue. We have the Stormbringer. It is just the shock comm. It is the permanent dot comm as well. I don't have points in Nth Degree, which I guess I could, but I don't think we really need it, because I'm just going to run around throwing blue everywhere. So, yeah, just expect that. I really didn't even need to change the spec from the last build, because I already just had enough skill points for both. Become blue. This makes sense. For this build specifically, we will probably bully Pyro Pete, since, you know, he's very weak to the color blue, and it actually makes sense for the build. And I guess we could just still make DT purple, because the extra purple on him is actually kind of insane. And then even if our damage isn't good, it's permanent. So if the enemies get a little bit too spicy for us, we can just walk out of the room and then just hang out. DT might get some kills. The dot itself might get some kills eventually too. So you don't even need this to actually be strong to work. Looks like he's gonna go farm though, because Deathtrap just kind of does that in this mod. Since we're here in the bar, I went ahead and let Deathtrap go have some fun for a little bit and build up some of his stacks. I'll wait for him to come down before I start the fight, but, you know, why not? Why not let him build up? He killed everything. And here he comes. Okay. Well. Go ahead and start dealing damage, I guess. And once again, I think DT is doing the most. Just because he's the color purple. Yeah. I mean, this works great. Of course it does, but it works great. DT might get hit by that dot. Yeah, he totally did. I did have on a big boom when I summoned him, so he doesn't even have the proper Roid Shield damage he should have. Which kind of makes me wonder what would happen if I actually put on a Roid Shield for him before I summoned him. How much more damage he'd be dealing right now. But yeah, this works. Now we can just kind of sit and wait forever for the dots to take him through if we wanted to. Put on that catalyst like we came up with the idea of trying out. Kind of exist. Exist and wait. So, for the melee slash DT build, Robotier, Bone of the Ancients because I guess the cooldown is nice mainly. Black Hole because why not just pull enemies into the melees at that point. Height of Terra because of course. Pokey Stick because of course. And then I have on a Chopper. Now, if anyone remembers, we have a skill where holding a gun will provide damage to Deathtrap based on the amount of ammo remaining in it. And this thing holds 685 rounds. 745 whenever actually held after stat bonuses. So, a lot more damage, effectively. Hopefully, like, what, 80, 90 something? Math? A little over 100 damage, probably. 100% bonus. Got more damage there. Pretty much what we've been doing. So we will be using this as both a melee and a DT build. We'll do a little bit of our own poking, we'll watch him do some poking himself. I don't know if I want to apply shock or slag to him though, because the slag really does tick really hard from him. We'll do a little bit of both, just kind of see how we feel about it. Make him purple, and let's get to poking. Okay, he's a little strong. We are also increasing the amount of damage that he and I both deal every single time we get a stack. I probably should have just pre-stacked to see what that's going to feel like. But my goodness, he is a monster. I'm a big fan. There is also the idea of not specking with claws too, because we are currently pretty much just bound to dealing shock damage, which if we didn't have with claws, it would be, you know, just normal non-element instead. And we could take advantage of the fact that we poke really fast with our melees. We wouldn't consume and then regain an anarchy stack every time we swung. The more I talk about this, the more I think that's a good idea, so I'm going to try that too. Okay, so pretty similar build, just without with claws so that we can just take advantage of the fast poking of our melee stick that we hold. See if we like it any better. Let me make sure he's purple, and let's get to mobbing. Okay, wherever he is, I need to not be, because he is totally just going to take up that space. He's too good at the game. I don't think that this shield applies its extra damage while we're, like, having it full. And I did really want to test out running a purple shield instead. Maybe I try running a purple shield instead. Yeah, let me go ahead and get one. We'll see what we feel like with it. Okay. So, it's less roid damage, but it's more roid damage up close, probably. And it also applies while the shield is full, which I don't know if the other one really felt like it was applying while shield was full. So let's just see if it's worth running a purple instead. I don't really know. A lot of the melee shields don't have any extra percentile bonuses or anything. They don't have the extra fanciness that the other shields do. Okay, so 5 mil damage put on the Hide of Terra. Yeah. 798k. Okay, so just running these is better for us because we have a hard time keeping our shield down as Gaige. We can just run this instead and be totally fine. DT is going to love it too because that means he gets the damage whether it's full or not as well. It's a non-issue. Let me try to make him purple if I can catch up to him. Yeah. It looks like not specking with claws is actually the move. You don't have to worry about whether or not you can deal like the proper damage to enemies. You actually get the benefit of the faster melee speed of the melee weapons in the mod. It's totally worth just doing this instead, I think. Of course, you lose out on the infinite melee range, which is unfortunate, but whenever you get into late game and you're kind of just messing around, a lot of stuff can be pretty close range in terms of combat. And I'm also totally just going to use this as an excuse to stack Anarchy for a little bit and then just roll it right into Pete, just to kind of bully Pete again, because why not? Alright, let's do it. I'm going to trigger Discord. Actually, I don't know if I want to trigger Discord. I think we'll just have more benefit from just playing the game. Test out DT at his max potential. Is it still more worthwhile to wear a catalyst for your damage overall? It looks like it's moving a little faster, actually, if I do that, yeah. I don't know. Alright, we've got no death trap. It's just us. We can go ahead and try to take advantage of Last Stand Protocol, since, you know, he's not out. I feel like we actually do more damage with Death Trap out than we do without him out. I guess it's only if... Okay, so maybe Android expansion only applies while DT is out? So we actually do get more damage while Death Trap is out than if he's not. We still get a decent benefit without him, but with him, this is definitely a lot more. Alright, well, cool. We've learned. Okay. A little bit of quick testing with the Love Thumper. It doesn't do team damage, and he emits so many Novas. I don't think the damage is particularly better than the other shields that we've been using, but it's certainly funny. And I think it also applies to his laser as far as I can tell. I think it did just trigger off of his laser. So now he's just even more of a monstrosity. That's terrifying. So what have we learned? The Anarchy build is good. The dot builds are nice. Death Trap is an absolute menace regardless of build. The melee still feels solid at end game, but I think going without with claws and just going for good old pokes with melee weapons is still probably more effective for the build. And that this has been a lot of fun, either way. Also, that grenade build is pretty fun too. I do like the grenade build. I don't think we have... I mean, like, it's good for mobbing. By the time I really would use it, though, I'd probably be doing a lot of bossing, so it wouldn't be as high on my list of things to do. The black hole shield being in your grenade slot is also pretty nice. That can be really good for, like, anything at all, really, where you're not using your grenades. You have an enemy, like, crack your shield, you end up pulling them so that they stagger instead of being able to shoot you more. You get a lot of good survivability out of that, so you can just keep playing the video game however you're choosing to. That's been pretty nice, too. And yeah, very cool. Overall, in terms of ease of use, definitely the dot build's #1. Robo Tier definitely is up there as well. I've been able to just kind of run at stuff and smack it, watch it all evaporate and go away pretty quick. And then the Anarchy build is also very, very good. I guess that in terms of ease of use is pretty good too. If you can get a Wanderlust, oh my goodness, Wanderlust would be absolutely great for this. I did get this shield, which is the Crack Sash that can drop from Tubbies, which gives you a bunch of shield capacity and recharge rate, and then also gives plus damage cooldown and movement speed. So you could run that for sure if you wanted to be a little more turtley. Run that with an Anarchy build maybe, with the Antagonist, which would also fire Slag, which would give you healing, so even more tank. So you could just run the triple shield threat. Just become as thick as possible. That could be pretty funny, yeah? Yeah, this has all been really well and good. Oh my goodness, my health bar is gone. Okay, hold on. Maybe I retract my tanky statement. Give it a second. Or maybe it was because I was just standing right in front of an ultimate BA loader. That could also do it too. So yeah, I mean, there's not really anything else to add to it. War Machine is always a good time. I always cause the mod author a little bit too much stress every single time that I'm playing. that's it. Gaige has been fun. The builds are all pretty darn solid overall. Some of them perform a little better than others, of course, as we've seen. And that's it. Day 9.